I'm typing this with shaking hands because I still can't believe what happened. I still can't believe someone I trusted with my entire life, someone I called my sister, could do something so calculated, so evil, so completely devastating. My name is Amber, I'm 19 years old, and I just learned that the person I thought was my best friend has been systematically destroying my life for over a year. But here's the thing they didn't count on: I'm not the naive girl they thought I was. I kept receipts. Every single one. Let me start from the beginning so you understand just how deep this betrayal goes. I grew up poor. Like really poor. Single mom, 3 kids, living paycheck to paycheck in a tiny 2-bedroom apartment, kind of poor. My mom worked 2 jobs just to keep food on the table and the lights on. My older brother dropped out of high school to work full-time and help with bills. My younger sister was only 10, and I was determined to be the first person in my family to go to college. It wasn't just a dream, it was my way out, my chance to break the cycle and maybe eventually help my family have a better life. School became my obsession. I had a 4.0 GPA from freshman year. I was in every club, every volunteer organization, every honor society. I worked part-time at a grocery store, saved every penny I could, and applied for every scholarship I could find. My guidance counselor, Mrs. Patterson, told me I had a real shot at the Dawson Merit Scholarship, a full ride to State University plus a living stipend. It was awarded to one student in our county each year based on academic achievement, community service, financial need, and a personal essay. It was my golden ticket. That's where Vanessa comes in. We'd been best friends since 7th grade. We met in English class and bonded over our love of books and our dreams of getting out of our small town. But here's the difference: Vanessa's family had money. Not rich exactly, but comfortable. Her dad was a dentist, her mom was a real estate agent, they lived in a nice house in the good part of town. She never had to work during high school, never had to choose between buying lunch or saving for college, never had to wear the same 3 outfits on rotation because that's all she could afford. But Vanessa wanted that scholarship too. She wanted it bad. Not because she needed it, her parents could afford to send her to college. She wanted it because it was prestigious. Because it would look good on her resume. Because she couldn't stand the idea of me getting something she didn't have. I didn't realize this at the time, of course. I thought we were supporting each other. I thought we were both working toward our dreams together. Junior year, we both started preparing our scholarship applications. We'd study together at the library, work on our essays together, practice interview questions together. I showed her everything. Every draft of my essay, every detail of my application, every strategy one was using. Because that's what best friends do, right? They help each other. They share everything. They trust each other completely. My essay was about my family's struggles and how it motivated me to pursue education. I wrote about watching my mom cry over bills she couldn't pay. I wrote about my brother sacrificing his own education for our family. I wrote about tutoring my little sister in our shared bedroom while my mom worked night shifts. I wrote about the shame of using food stamps at the grocery store where I worked, hoping none of my classmates would see. It was raw, honest, vulnerable, and I poured my heart into every word. I must have revised it 50 times, and Vanessa read every single version. She'd tell me it was amazing, that I was definitely going to win, that she was so proud of me. Her essay was about her volunteer work at her dad's dental office, teaching underprivileged kids about oral hygiene. It was fine, well written, but it didn't have the same emotional weight. At least that's what I thought. She'd ask me to read her drafts too, and I'd give her honest feedback, suggestions on how to make it stronger. I genuinely wanted her to succeed too, even though only one of us could win. That's how stupid I was. That's how much I trusted her. Senior year started, and the scholarship deadline was November 1st. I submitted my application on October 15th, 2 weeks early, because I'm paranoid about missing deadlines. Vanessa submitted hers the day before the deadline. I remember because she texted me freaking out that she almost forgot. We laughed about it. She said she was so scattered lately, so stressed about everything. I told her it would be fine, that we'd both done our best, and now we just had to wait. The winners would be announced in January, after the selection committee reviewed all applications and conducted interviews with the finalists. I was so nervous I could barely function. This scholarship was everything to me. Without it, I'd have to take out massive student loans or maybe not go to college at all. My mom couldn't help financially, she was barely keeping us afloat as it was. This was my only real chance. December came, and I got the email. I was selected as a finalist. So was Vanessa. We were 2 of 5 students who would interview with the selection committee in early January. I was ecstatic. Terrified, but ecstatic. Vanessa seemed happy too, or at least she acted like it. She hugged me and screamed and said we were both going to nail the interviews. We celebrated with cheap coffee at the diner, talking about our future roommate situations at State University, planning how we'd decorate our dorms, imagining our new lives. But then things started getting weird. Little things at first, things I didn't think much about at the time, but now make perfect sense. Vanessa started asking me specific questions about my interview prep. What was I planning to wear? What points was I going to emphasize? What stories was I going to tell? I answered everything because again, I trusted her completely. She was my best friend. We were in this together. Then one day in late December, I was at her house and she left her laptop open while she went to the bathroom. I wasn't snooping, I swear I wasn't, but I saw my name in an open document and curiosity got the better of me. It was her scholarship essay. But it wasn't the essay she'd shown me. This was completely different. And as I read it, my blood ran cold. She'd stolen my story. Not just inspired by it, not just similar themes, but literally stolen my experiences and rewritten them as her own. She wrote about financial struggles, about a family member sacrificing for her education, about the shame of poverty. She'd taken every vulnerable detail I'd shared with her, every painful memory I'd written about, and claimed them as her own experiences. Even some of the phrases were exactly the same as mine. I felt like I couldn't breathe. When she came back, I was sitting there staring at the screen. She saw what I was looking at and her face went pale. "Amber, I can explain," she said quickly. "You stole my essay. You stole my life story." My voice was shaking. "I didn't steal it, I was just inspired by you. Your story is so compelling, and mine was so boring in comparison. I just borrowed some elements to make mine stronger." Borrowed? Vanessa, you literally wrote about things that happened to my family, not yours. You wrote about using food stamps. Your dad is a dentist. She sat down, and her expression changed. Got harder. Look, you're not the only person who's ever struggled. Maybe I exaggerated some things, but it's not like you have a monopoly on hardship. These aren't exaggerations, they are lies. Complete lies. And they are my lies, my experiences, my pain that you're using to try to win a scholarship you don't even need. Don't I need it? Her voice rose. Just because my family has money now doesn't mean I don't deserve opportunities. Just because you're poor doesn't mean you automatically deserve everything. Maybe I want this scholarship because I earned it with my grades and my hard work, not because I have the saddest sob story. I felt like she'd slapped me. Is that what you think my life is? A sob story? Something to use when it's convenient for you. I think you use your poverty as a crutch. As an excuse. As a way to make people feel sorry for you and give you things you haven't actually earned. I stood up, grabbed my bag, and walked out. I didn't speak to her for 2 weeks. She texted me dozens of times, apologizing, saying she didn't mean it, saying she was just stressed and scared about the interviews. She said she'd changed her essay back, that she wasn't going to use my story. She begged me to forgive her, said our friendship meant more than any scholarship. I eventually responded because I'm an idiot who wanted to believe people could change. She showed me a revised essay, different from both her original and the one that stole my story. It seemed sincere. I forgave her, though things between us were definitely strained. We didn't talk about the scholarship anymore. We didn't prep together. We barely talked at all, really, but we were still technically friends. The interviews happened on the same day in January, scheduled an hour apart. I went first. I walked into that room with 5 committee members and gave it everything I had. I talked about my family, my struggles, my dreams, my determination. I answered their questions honestly and passionately. I left feeling good, feeling like I'd represented myself well. Vanessa's interview was after mine. I waited for her in the hallway, and when she came out, she looked confident. Too confident. She smiled at me and said, "I think that went really well." "That's great," I said, but something felt off. 2 weeks later, the results came. I got the email at school during lunch. "We regret to inform you that you have not been selected for the Dawson Merit Scholarship." I read it 3 times, certain I was misunderstanding. But no, it was clear. I didn't win. Someone else did. I found out who an hour later, when the school announced it over the intercom. Vanessa. Vanessa won. The girl who didn't need it, the girl who stole my story, the girl I'd trusted with everything. She won. I felt sick. I left school early and went home and cried for hours. My mom tried to comfort me, telling me there would be other opportunities, other scholarships, other ways. But we both knew the truth. Without that scholarship, college was going to be nearly impossible for me. I'd have to take out massive loans or work full-time while going to school part-time, or maybe not go at all. My dream was dying right in front of me. Vanessa tried to call me that night. I didn't answer. She texted, "Amber, please talk to me. I know you're upset, but I promise I did this fairly. I didn't use your story. I won on my own merit. Please believe me." I didn't respond. I couldn't. I was too devastated, too angry, too confused. Part of me wanted to believe her, wanted to think she'd won legitimately. But something didn't feel right. That's when I decided to do some digging. I still had access to Vanessa's family computer because I'd stayed at her house so many times, and her parents never password protected anything. I know it was wrong, I know I shouldn't have, but I needed to know the truth. So one day when I knew her family was out, I used the spare key they kept under the mat and let myself in. My hands were shaking as I opened her laptop. What I found destroyed me and saved me at the same time. There was a folder labeled Scholarship Final, and inside was her submitted essay. The one she actually sent to the committee. And it was my story. All of it. She'd lied to me about changing it. She'd submitted the stolen version, the one that used my family's pain and my experiences, and she'd won with it. But that wasn't all. There were also emails. Dozens of them. Between Vanessa and her mom. I read them with increasing horror. From Vanessa, "Mom, Amber's essay is so much better than mine. She's going to win. I need this scholarship. Everyone at school expects me to win. I can't lose to her." From her mom, "Sweetheart, you're just as deserving as she is. More so, even. Use whatever resources you need to make your application stronger." From Vanessa, she showed me her whole essay. I could just rewrite it as my own. She'd never know because the essays are confidential. From her mom, do what you need to do. You deserve this opportunity. Don't let someone else's sob story overshadow your achievements. They'd planned this. Deliberately. Calculated. Her mom had encouraged her to steal from me. And there was more. More emails about strategies to undermine my application. About how Vanessa's mom had connections on the selection committee, how they'd been having conversations, planting seeds about Vanessa's compelling personal story, and subtly questioning whether I was exaggerating my circumstances. I took pictures of everything with my phone. Every email. Every document. Every piece of evidence. And then I left before anyone came home. For 2 days, I sat with this information, trying to decide what to do. Part of me wanted to just let it go, to move on, to find another way. But the bigger part of me was furious. This wasn't just about the scholarship anymore. This was about justice. About integrity. About making sure people face consequences for their actions. I reached out to Mrs. Patterson, my guidance counselor, and asked for a private meeting. When I walked into her office, I had my phone full of evidence and a statement I'd written detailing everything that had happened. Mrs. Patterson, I need to report scholarship fraud, I said. Her eyes widened. That's a serious accusation, Amber. What's going on? I showed her everything. The stolen essay. The emails. The timeline. The proof that Vanessa had deliberately plagiarized my work and used it to win a scholarship under false pretenses. Mrs. Patterson's face grew more troubled with every piece of evidence. This is very disturbing, she said quietly. If this is true, it's not only unethical, it's potentially illegal. Scholarship fraud can have serious consequences. I know. That's why I needed to come forward. It's not just about me losing. It's about her lying and cheating and stealing to get something she didn't earn. Mrs. Patterson told me she'd have to report this to the principal and to the scholarship committee, and that there would be an investigation. I said I understood and that I was prepared for whatever came next. What came next was chaos. Within a week, the school launched a formal investigation. The scholarship committee was notified and opened their own investigation. Vanessa was called in for questioning. Her mom was called in. I had to give a formal statement and provide all my evidence. Vanessa tried to deny everything at first. She claimed I'd hacked her computer, that I'd fabricated the evidence, that I was just a bitter loser who couldn't handle not winning. But her story fell apart quickly when the investigators found the original documents on her laptop with metadata showing when they were created and modified. They found the email trail between her and her mom. They compared her submitted essay to mine, and the plagiarism was undeniable. The scholarship committee was horrified. Not only did they revoke Vanessa's scholarship, they banned her from applying for any scholarships through their organization in the future. The school suspended her for academic dishonesty. Her acceptance to State University was called into question, and though she wasn't expelled from the school, her reputation was completely destroyed. And me? The scholarship committee called me into a meeting. The head of the committee, a distinguished older woman named Dr. Chen, looked at me with kind eyes and said, "Amber, we owe you an apology. We failed you by not catching this plagiarism in our initial review. We were so moved by the essay Vanessa submitted, we didn't think to verify the details. But it was your story. Your pain. Your truth. And you deserve to be recognized for it." She slid a letter across the table to me. "We are awarding you the Dawson Merit Scholarship. It's yours. It was always yours. We are just sorry it took this long to make it right." I cried. Right there in that office, I completely broke down and sobbed. Dr. Chen came around the table and hugged me while I cried into her shoulder. All the stress, all the fear, all the betrayal, all the uncertainty about my future, it all came pouring out. The news spread through school like wildfire. Some people supported me, called me brave for speaking up. Others thought I was vindictive, that I should have just let it go. Vanessa's friends definitely fell into the latter category. They called me jealous, a snitch, someone who couldn't handle losing. But I didn't care. I knew the truth, and more importantly, the people who mattered knew the truth. Vanessa tried to apologize. She cornered me in the parking lot one day, tears streaming down her face, begging me to forgive her. I made a terrible mistake, she sobbed. I was desperate and scared, and I made the worst decision of my life. Please, Amber, we were best friends. Can't we move past this? I looked at her, this girl I'd shared everything with, this girl I'd called my sister, and I felt nothing but pity. No, Vanessa. We can't move past this. Because you didn't make a mistake. Mistakes are accidents. What you did was deliberate, calculated, and cruel. You stole the most painful parts of my life and used them for your own gain. You and your mom conspired to cheat me out of something that was rightfully mine. That's not a mistake. That's a betrayal. And I can't forgive it. But I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. My life is ruined now because of this. Your life is ruined because of your choices. You did this to yourself. You could have worked harder on your own essay. You could have found your own story to tell. You could have competed fairly. But instead, you cheated. And now you're facing the consequences. She kept crying, kept begging, but I walked away. I didn't owe her my forgiveness. I didn't owe her anything. The legal ramifications came next. Because the scholarship had a monetary value of over $50,000, and because there was clear evidence of fraud, the scholarship committee decided to press charges. Vanessa's mom ended up paying a hefty fine and doing community service. Vanessa herself was charged as a minor, but the consequences were still significant. Her college acceptances were rescinded once schools learned about the academic dishonesty. She ended up going to community college instead. I felt bad for about 5 seconds. Then I remembered everything she'd done and the guilt evaporated. She made her choices. She faced her consequences. That's how the world works. As for me, I'm writing this from my dorm room at State University. I'm halfway through my freshman year, and I'm thriving. I'm on the dean's list. I'm involved in campus organizations. I'm working toward a degree in social work because I want to help families like mine, kids like me, who are struggling to break the cycle of poverty. The scholarship money has covered everything: tuition, room, board, books, and I even have enough left over to send a little money home to my mom each month. My little sister calls me her hero. She tells all her friends that her big sister went to college on a full scholarship. My mom cries happy tears when she visits me on campus. My brother tells me he's proud of me, that I did what he couldn't do. And I'm grateful every single day that I had the courage to stand up for myself, to demand justice, to refuse to let someone else's betrayal define my future. People ask me if I regret losing my best friend. The truth is, I didn't lose a best friend. I lost someone who was never really my friend at all. Real friends don't steal from you. Real friends don't betray you. Real friends don't use your pain for their own gain. Vanessa was never my friend. She was just someone who stayed close enough to take what she wanted when the opportunity arose. I've made new friends here at college. Real friends who support me, who celebrate my successes, who would never dream of undermining me. I've learned that quality matters more than history, that someone you've known for years can still be a stranger, and that sometimes the trash takes itself out. Last week, I saw that Vanessa tried to add me on social media. I deleted the request without a second thought. Some doors, once closed, should stay closed. Some bridges, once burned, don't need to be rebuilt. Some people don't deserve a second chance, and that's okay. I'm moving forward. I'm building the life I always dreamed of. I'm proving that hard work and honesty and integrity still matter, even in a world where people like Vanessa think they can cheat their way to success. And every time I walk across this campus, every time I sit in a lecture hall, every time I write a paper or take an exam, I remember that I earned this. Not through manipulation or theft or lies, but through my own merit, my own determination, my own strength. Vanessa wanted my story because hers wasn't good enough. But here's what she didn't understand: the story isn't what made me worthy of that scholarship. The person I became while living that story is what made me worthy. The resilience, the determination, the refusal to give up despite impossible odds, that's what the scholarship committee saw in me. That's what Vanessa could never steal, no matter how many essays she plagiarized. So yeah, my best friend betrayed me while I was saving for college just to steal my scholarship. But I had receipts. I had evidence. I had the courage to fight back. And in the end, justice prevailed. The truth came out. The right person won. And I'm living proof that sometimes, just sometimes, the good guys actually do win. To anyone reading this who's ever been betrayed, who's ever had someone steal from them or lie about them, or try to destroy them, please know this: document everything, trust your instincts, and don't be afraid to fight for what's rightfully yours. The truth is powerful. Evidence is powerful. Your voice is powerful. Use them. And to Vanessa, if you ever read this, I hope you learned something from this experience. I hope you understand now that shortcuts don't lead anywhere worth going. I hope you realize that the easy path isn't always the right path. I hope you become a better person than you were when you betrayed me. But honestly, I don't think about you much anymore. You're a chapter in my past, a lesson learned, a story I'll tell when I want to remind myself how far I've come. You thought you could steal my future. Instead, you just made me fight harder for it. And I won. I'm here. I'm thriving. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Thanks for reading, Reddit. Sometimes you just need to get this stuff out, you know. And if my story helps even one person find the courage to stand up for themselves, then sharing it was worth it.